Gideon was a member of the hero group, considered a loser who was expelled for being weak. However, after leaving the country, the strange princess who was in love with him follows him. Now she will force him to live with her while she plots to win him over so that he will never leave her again. Before being expelled, Gideon worked as a knight in the hero group, fighting alongside his powerful sister, Ruti. But the wise Ares always believed himself superior, and to prove it, he created a magical barrier and challenged Gideon to destroy it with a simple sword. Gideon couldn't even scratch the barrier, so Ares used this failure as the final test and humiliated him by banishing him from the group of heroes. The poor warrior, aspiring to be a knight, didn't fight back and instead accepted his fate. He changed his name to Red and traveled to the quiet town of Zultan to start a new life. His main stop is the local adventurers guild, where he sells his daily loot to the receptionist, Megria. As he leaves the guild, Red encounters a local boy named Tanta. The boy admires Red and promises him that when he grows up, he will become a carpenter and build him a pharmacy. Later that night, Red is in his room counting the money he saved from selling all the medicinal herbs. He figures it took him at least 6 months to save enough to open his pharmacy. Suddenly, there's a frantic knock at his door, and it turns out to be Tanta's father, known as Gons, who is in a panic. He explains that Tanta has contracted a serious illness and could die. Red immediately goes to see if the boy is truly in danger and confirms that Tanta has a rare disease called white eye. If it isn't treated within 24 hours, the boy will be blind forever. Red explains that only a special herb called blood needles can cure him. Gons is desperate to save his son, so he gets down on his knees and offers Red all his money in return. Without hesitation, Red decides to help, not for the money, but because Tanta is his friend. Red moves through the mountains like an expert and arrives at the place where the blood needles grow. Suddenly, an owl bear appears from the shadows and lunges at him, but Red calmly draws his sword and lands a deep cut in the beast's chest, as if it were nothing. Red then delivers the herbs to Gons, just in time, and they are able to cure Tanta's illness. The boy's family and the local doctor are immensely grateful. Later that evening, while Red is walking through the forest, Gons approaches him to express his gratitude once more, and, as a master carpenter, offers to build the pharmacy for Red as a reward for saving his son. During the grand opening of the shop, Red overhears some customers talking about the fearless warrior named Ruti and her recent victories. Learning that the hero's party is succeeding without him brings him a sense of peace. Back at the Adventurers Guild, a famous B-rank adventurer named Rit arrives to deliver a report. She explains that they just held a party for the grand opening of the local pharmacy. Rit is intrigued, and Megria continues to sing the praises of the pharmacy owner, calling him the most adventurous and handsome man in town. Meanwhile, Red's new pharmacy is a grand establishment, but he leans against the counter, staring blankly, trying to understand why he has 0 customers. At that moment, the doorbell rings, and a woman enters who instantly recognizes him and calls him by his old name, Gideon. It's the adventurer Rit, and the two sit down for a cup of hot tea. It turns out that this beautiful young woman is actually the princess of a nation called Lagervia. However, she abandoned her royal life because she was fed up with the political games that were ruining her family. After that, she met Red and his teammates, and they used to go on missions together. When Rit calls him by his old name, Gideon, he explains that he now goes by his new name, Red. Upon hearing this, she tries to flirt with him just to test his male reaction. Being the good man he is, Red admits that he chose his new name because it reminded him of something intense. Unfortunately, she seems flattered by this gesture. She then asks what a high-ranking knight is doing, hiding in a remote village like Zultan. Red tells her that he was being a burden to the group, but Rit disagrees and asserts that he was a strong warrior. To get away from this intense girl, Red goes to the kitchen to make more tea. He brings it to the table, and just as Rit takes a sip, he declares that it tastes delicious. This comment makes them both shy, as they've had some close encounters in the past. The memory takes them back to a noisy bar where they first met, where a drunken old man was harassing a hooded woman who was Rit. Before either of the heroes could intervene, she dealt with the situation herself, knocking the man to the ground. Then, with an air of superiority, she told the group of heroes that she didn't need their help, boasting of her status as Princess of Lagervia. Back in the present, they reminisce about a more recent memory of exploring the mountains when it was just the two of them. As they chatted in the darkness of the night, Rit claimed that she found some strange clues that led her to a secluded cabin. Red listened cautiously to her words and revealed that the Demon Lord's army was likely involved. He suggested they team up to investigate, but Rit's pride kicked in, and she rejected his offer, saying that Lagervia fights and wins her battles alone. Red respected her decision and offered her some cookies, probably just to change the subject, but the ample assets woman began savoring them, saying they were delicious. In the present, Red criticizes her, arguing that her compliment was merely superficial politeness. He claims that Rit wasn't truly honest about her feelings back then, and didn't learn to be honest until she came face to face with the demon Shisandan. This triggers another, much darker memory of a war council in Lagervia. The kingdom's officials were panicking over dwindling supplies, so Rit proposed a clever plan to attack the demon army's food storehouse. His master, the commander, praised his strategy and put the plan into action, assigning the group of heroes to defend the castle. Unfortunately, the whole affair was a trap to defeat the nation of Lagervia. While the commander stood alongside the demons he was supposed to be fighting. Just Just then, Red arrived on the scene and ran the commander through with his sword. This caused him to reveal his true form as the demon Shisanda. The two had no choice but to fight this beast. But suddenly Red's sister, Ruti, appeared. She surgically severed Shisandan's arms and plunged her sword into his heart. This experience left Ruti completely stunned, and she shut herself away for days, overwhelmed with grief for her master and the soldiers who had died. Red went to see her, hoping to comfort her. She discovered Rit was on the verge of depression and gave her a stern pep talk, reminding her of her duty as captain. During this difficult time, her words were the only thing that helped her recover and lead again. Back at the pharmacy, the weight of their past hangs between them. Rit, having found the only person with whom she can truly be herself, makes a big decision. She demands that Red give her a job at his shop. He tries to refuse, wanting to protect their newfound peace, but she has an answer for everything. She offers to run the shop while he's out in the woods gathering herbs, and even offers to pamper him every night. It's actually a sound business decision, so Red reluctantly agrees. Rit immediately tests his mettle by criticizing his terrible business sense. He shows her a potion he brewed that increases the volume of other potions, thinking himself a genius. However, Rit explains the situation, telling him that this would crash the market due to supply and demand. Then he shows her a less addictive painkiller, but informs her that it requires special approval from Zultan's council to sell, something she hadn't even considered. Realizing that she's actually quite intelligent, Red asks her to come by whenever she wants and has time to help, but Rit just looks at him and says they'll never be apart again. She then announces that she's moving in with him and will buy a bigger bed and bathtub for them to share. Red is completely shocked as his dream of living with a beautiful woman becomes a reality. Meanwhile, in the distance, Ares introduces a new member to the heroes group, a silent assassin named Tiso. He presents this young girl to her teammates as Gideon's replacement. Just as they are being introduced, Ruti arrives on the scene with an expressionless face. She accepts Tis and assigns the team their next mission, to find an ancient weapon left behind by a former demon lord. The next morning, Red wakes up to find himself asleep on the floor, but when he looks beside him, he sees Rit sleeping peacefully. Later, the two meet downstairs where Red has prepared a delicious breakfast for them both. They sit down to eat like an old married couple, and the girl eagerly devours everything in sight. Then, acting as his unpaid business manager, she explains her plan for the day. She wants to get Red's new painkiller approved by the city council. Rit then brings up her salary and suggests that she wants Red to give her oral sex twice a week. After carefully considering the proposal, Red simply agrees to become the object of her new assistant's affection. The two then head into town to conduct their business. Their first stop is a furniture store owned by a goblin. When the goblin sees the beautiful princess with someone like Red, he immediately asks what's going on. Rit proudly announces that she's moving in with him and affectionately approaches Red's body. The goblin is speechless, but quickly congratulates Red, assuming they're in a relationship. Red wonders why the goblin is being so kind to her, as he's usually rude to her. The goblin explains that unlike Red, who always tries to haggle, Rit is a real customer who pays the full price. Meanwhile, Rit chooses a new bed and looks seductively at Red, hoping to christen it later that night. While Red tries to maintain her composure, Rit arranges for the bed to be delivered to the pharmacy. As she leaves, she mentions that the goblin shop always has top-quality items. Red explains that this is because the goblin has leveled up his artisan blessing. He then explains how the blessings work, saying they are randomly given by a god named Demis, and the only way to level up is to eliminate another person who also has a blessing. This twisted system essentially encourages people to eliminate each other for power, turning the entire world into a violent place. On his way to the council office, Red sees Tanta being harassed by a group of older children. He immediately intervenes to stop the fight, but a boy named Ademi grabs a rock and throws it at him. Red casually deflects it and tells the boy he should save himself and get out of there. Red checks on Tanta and his friend Al, who is also recovering from the fight. Just then, Rit arrives in her adventurer's boots, and Tanta is surprised to see her with Red. She explains that they are good friends and that she is now living with him, which leaves the boy even more astonished. After healing him, Red asks Tanta why they were fighting, and he explains that Ademi simply started attacking them for no reason. Al adds that Ademi wasn't always violent, but lately he has become extremely impulsive. Red realizes why and deduces that Ademi has probably just awakened his blessing. He explains that blessings can interfere with a person's personality. Ademi has the fighter's blessing, which makes him instinctively good at fighting anything he can find. Because of his strong affinity for it, Ademi's personality is warping, turning him into a born thug. This revelation terrifies Al, who confesses that he doesn't even want a blessing. When Red asks why, Al reveals that he already has one called Weapon Master, which makes him skilled with any weapon. However, he fears becoming violent like Ademi. Rit and Red quickly comfort the boy, telling him that a blessing doesn't define who you are. It might influence your life, but it doesn't have to control you. Red assures him that he can learn to master his blessing and use it for good. Feeling a little better, the children head home. As Red and Rit continue on their way, he tells her that once they're officially business partners, he won't let her go so easily, which she playfully interprets as a romantic hint. At the council office, their proposal for the new drug is immediately rejected by a grumpy official. He doesn't even listen to them and simply throws them out. Undeterred, Rit comes up with another idea and decides to approach a different official. This nervous. Official explains that the previous one is nervous because a different remedy they approved last month is now being sold on the streets as an illegal powder, and he's been dealing with angry citizens all week. This fiasco has severely damaged his reputation, as they're even being insulted in the streets. However, the official likes Rit's presence and agrees to personally approve her new painkiller. On their way back, Red apologizes for making her do all the hard work, but Rit says she's happy to help. Then she squeezes her hand tightly, making Red nervous. Back at the pharmacy, the two brainstorm ways to make the store popular. Rit suggests they need an attractive product that everyone will want to buy. While she enjoys cooking, she casually mentions that she should serve food with her remedies, which gives Red a brilliant idea. Red uses his guiding skills, which apparently also work for cooking. As Rit watches from behind, he uses this mixture in food, making it healthy and delicious. Rit samples his new medicinal cookies and takes a bite, which turns out to be extremely tasty. The next day, he stands on the sidewalks and hands out the cookies all over town. The plan is a resounding success, and soon his pharmacy is flooded with customers, finally making Red's business a success. The two celebrate this occasion, and Red carries the beautiful woman in his arms so he can admire her beauty. Meanwhile, the heroes group is facing serious problems. The fighter Danon is openly arguing with Ares, blaming the sage for terrible decisions and their lack of progress in the search for the ancient weapon. Danon insists that banishing Gideon was a huge mistake, pointing out that they never had these problems when he was their guide. He asks Ruti for permission to go and find him, and she gladly agrees. Later, Danon speaks with the group's cleric, Theodora, about his suspicions regarding Ares. He mentions that another member of the group, the elf, Yarandrala, has already left due to Ares' decision to banish Gideon. Danon admits that although he used to argue with Gideon, he never saw him as a burden, and now he's determined to find him and bring him back. The next morning, Red wakes up to find Rit's stunning body beside him. Just as he's taking in her beauty, she wakes up. Later, Red stands outside his now successful pharmacy, reflecting on how surreal his life has become. He never imagined he'd be running a shop with a princess by his side. Just as they head back inside, a group of local adventurers enter. They're stunned to see the famous B-rank adventurer Rit working behind the counter. She cheerfully informs them that she has given up adventuring and now lives with Red to take care of him. The news is so shocking that one of the adventurers, a girl who was clearly in love with Red, is completely devastated and runs out of the shop. Then Rit casually announces that she wants some wine and goes to buy a bottle. The moment she leaves, Albert, the leader of the B-rank adventurer group, enters. Red greets him politely, but the warrior gets straight to the point and accuses Red of killing the owl bear in the mountains. Red denies it, but Albert doesn't believe his explanation. He points out that the cut on the beast's body was clean and deep, consistent with a powerful, decisive blow, exactly the kind of wound a copper sword would make if wielded by an expert. Despite this, Red continues to feign ignorance, which only irritates Albert further. Having had enough, Albert draws his sword and points it at Red's throat, telling him he was about to invite him to join his party. But before he can finish his sentence, Rit reappears out of nowhere and begins attacking him. She then holds her own sword to Albert's neck, coldly threatening to kill him if he dares to touch Red. Albert is shocked by this altercation and quickly retreats. Red tries to calm her down and attempts to explain the situation. However, Rit remains furious and demands an explanation from him. She claims that Albert should have been killed for his attitude. Red has to explain to Rit that eliminating Albert, the only B-rank adventurer in Zultan, would be a very bad idea for the city's safety. Then she asks why he didn't even try to defend himself. Red calmly states that he knew Albert was only pretending and didn't mean to actually hurt him. He then tells Rit how worried he was about him, which makes her blush. Later that night, they celebrate their business success with dinner, and Rit reminds her that they still need a bathtub. Red tells her he's already asked Gons to build one for them. He then specifies that he wants a bathtub large enough for two, explaining that she simply likes to relax with space. But the comment clearly unnerves Red. He quickly suggests they go to the local public sauna on their days off, and she readily agrees. At the sauna, Red finds himself in a pointless endurance contest with the goblin and the carpenter, Gons. As the men sweat together, they begin to tease Red about his relationship with Rit. But being the gentlemanly man that he is, Red tells them to mind their own business. Everyone is tired of the hot steam, but no one wants to give up, so to end this competition, Red gets up and increases the power, causing Gons to faint almost instantly. He is immediately dragged outside where his wife, now, scolds him for overexerting himself. Meanwhile, the sauna owner, a man named Newman, complains that he's been losing customers since a new, fancy bathhouse opened. Now gets angry at him for giving up so easily and declares that she'll keep coming as long as he serves drinks. Seeing him lose heart, everyone gets up and orders drinks for Newman, hoping to cheer him up. Even after a giant pitcher of beer, Now and the Goblin order more. Later, back at the pharmacy, Now and Rit are brainstorming ways to help Newman save his sauna. They brainstorm ways to cut costs and attract more customers, but all the ideas seem impractical. Meanwhile, Red serves them some herbal tea to clear their heads. Suddenly, a plan strikes him. He visits Newman the next day and offers him a special herbal sachet, explaining a new service he can offer called steam therapy. He explains that it's a technique used by wild elves where they bathe in herbal steam to relieve fatigue. Newman isn't sure if this idea will attract more customers. However, Red offers to provide a steady supply supply of these herbal sachets at a reduced price. Grateful for the help, Newman agrees to keep his business going and decides to incorporate this idea into his sauna. He even offers Red and his friends a free lifetime pass to use his sauna. After closing the deal, Red enters the sauna to celebrate his business victory. But just then, Now and Rit enter the men's side of the sauna with their towels. Red tries to make a quick exit and cover himself with a towel, but Rit begs him to stay. Left with no other option, he agrees to enjoy the sauna with the ladies. As they all sit together, Now tells Rit that she was smart to choose Red over the other men in town. The two women then begin enthusiastically praising Red for his helpfulness, talent, and reliability, heaping compliments on him until he's so embarrassed he nearly faints. Thanks to Red's idea, Newman's sauna becomes popular again as the place fills up with customers. As they all walk home, Rit tells Red that he never imagined a quiet life in Zultan could be so rewarding. He also finally explains why he wanted to drink wine beforehand. In his homeland, it's a tradition for couples to drink wine together before being intimate. Meanwhile, miles away, the hero's group falls apart. Ares is annoyed that two people have already left the group since Gideon was banished. The new assassin, Tisi, sits next to Theodora, who asks if she's disappointed with her new team. Tisa gives an evasive answer, saying she's fine with whatever the group decides. Theodora sighs and says her group never had this kind of conflict until Gideon left. She admits she doesn't understand why he was kicked out and openly wishes he would return. The next day, while Red is working at his pharmacy, an Adventurers Guild official named Galantine appears with his guards. He demands to speak with Red immediately, but Red, being professional, tells them to wait until the pharmacy opens for the day. However, Galantine insists it's urgent and even subtly threatens Red. But seeing his calm demeanor, Galantine decides to wait a little longer. Meanwhile, Rit tells Red to keep Galantine and her guards waiting for hours. While Galantine waits outside, a suspicious-looking character from the Thieves Guild sneaks into the shop. He offers Red a valuable elven coin, a small fortune, in exchange for letting Rit go. Red scoffs at the offer, telling the boy that Rit is priceless and that 1,000 coins wouldn't be enough. The thief seems to respect his sincerity, but leaves the offer on the table in case Red changes his mind. Outside, Rit is also rejecting Galantine as offers. The guards try to offer her large sums of money, but she informs them that she has signed a lifetime contract with Red. Rit also warns them that if they try to expel Red from the village, she will leave with him. Upon hearing all this, Red is delighted and invites her closer. He then takes out a bracelet made of amber and gives it to her, calling it the down payment on her lifetime employment. Rit teases him, saying that a gift like that might give him the wrong idea, which makes him blush and say that she can buy him a different one. However, Rit simply smiles and tells him that any gift he gives her is fine as long as he continues to share her bed. Meanwhile, in a dark room, two guild members discuss how Rit has become an unpredictable variable. They decide they need to keep a close eye on her, fearful of what she might do now that she's no longer under their control. Since Rit used to be a very active adventurer, her retirement as Red's assistant is causing panic. The shadowy green creature is furious that even the Thieves Guild couldn't convince Rit to stay. Later, Rit reflects on how she never imagined she could live such a simple and happy life with Red. Her mind returns to her chaotic time in the hero's party. The scene shifts back to a desperate situation in her homeland of Lagervia, which was being destroyed by the Demon Lord's arm. Her only hope was to get help from the neighboring city, but to do so, they had to cross demon-controlled territory. However, Gideon appeared with a risky plan to travel through the Enchanted Woods, a place so dangerous that even demons avoided it. Their first stop was a village at the edge of the forest where they met an elf named Yarandrala, who possessed the unique ability to speak with plants. She explained that the forest's magic didn't affect the people of her village and she could navigate it simply by listening to the trees. Gideon placed his complete trust in her, making her the key to his entire strategy. While Gideon's group prepared to enter the forest, Danon and Theodora stayed behind to protect the village. Meanwhile, Ares decides to hire some shady mercenaries to gather intelligence, a move so reckless it was guaranteed to go wrong. As they travel through the forest, Rit immediately becomes jealous seeing Gideon and Yarandrala working so closely together, though she tries to act as if she doesn't mind. Seeing her distracted, Ruti stares at her. Yarandrala, far more perceptive than she appears, walks over to Rit and suggests they go for a swim in a nearby river to cool off. Hesitates at first, but finally agrees. Ares doesn't want to wait, but Gideon gives the girls the go-ahead to rest for a while. While they're swimming, Yarandrala gets straight to the point and asks Rit if she likes Gideon. Rit tells her that her crush is obvious and that Gideon probably likes her, too. She advises Rit to be more honest instead of getting angry out of embarrassment all the time. Rit asks if Yarandrala has feelings for him, but the elf denies it, saying that humans live very short lives. She sees Gideon as a close friend and wishes he could live a simpler life for himself, as he's always pushing himself to the limit for the group. Just as they're about to continue their journey, they're ambushed by demon scouts. It turns out the mercenaries Ares hired were double agents who betrayed them. However, Gideon doesn't panic and quickly devises a new plan. He and Yarandrala act as a distraction, while Rit and Ruti break through the enemy lines. As planned, the team forms up and charges directly into enemy territory. The battle begins, and the plan works perfectly, mainly because Ruti enters the fray and defeats every single demon scout in her path. When they regroup, Ruti hugs her brother, apologizing for having endangered him. After securing aid for his kingdom, Ruti decides to remain in Lagervia to help rebuild his nation, not wanting to interfere with Gideon and his sister. Back in the present, Ruti feels grateful that fate brought them together. While on her way to make a delivery, a random adventurer confronts her, threatening to tell the entire kingdom that their precious princess is living with some random guy. Ruti doesn't care at all about his threats. She tells him she prefers this life and walks away, leaving him speechless. In the distance, Ruti is wide awake in her tent, unable to sleep. She remembers the day she discovered her brother had abandoned his team. Ruti is divine blessing, which apparently came with a lie detector activated. She sensed his deception and instinctively attacked him, revealing a glimpse of her terrifying true power that shattered her calm exterior. However, Ruti recovered a moment later and healed him, but the damage was already done. Since her brother's departure, she had felt an enormous void in her life, and Ares's lies only made it worse. The next day, Red makes a delivery to Dr. Newman, whose business is now thriving. Just then, a commotion outside catches their attention. They rush out and find a man collapsed in his home with a dangerously high heart rate. Red, trusting in his first aid skills, immediately prepares an antidote, a move that surprises the doctor as well. Red explains to the doctor about his extraordinary ability, which allows him to treat symptoms even without knowing the cause. After stabilizing the man, Dr. Newman reveals that he is the victim of a narcotic overdose, the same new powder the council recently approved. He warns Red that there will be more cases like this and asks her to help stop the distribution of these narcotics. When Red arrives home late, Rit scolds him for worrying her, but he quickly smooths things over by making her lunch. While they eat together, he tells her about the overdose victim, and she immediately concludes that the narcotic is dangerous. However, Red insists it's not his job to play detective and hunt down the drug dealer. To distract her, he suggests they take a day off and go to the river to relax. They take 2 flying creatures and go for a ride in the sky. However, the two end up spending the day swimming and eating barbecue. Rit escalates the situation by taking off her shirt in front of him and forcing him into the water with her. Their interactions are filled with a tension that wasn't there before. Despite this, they both end up laughing at their own awkwardness, and Red points out the irony of her being so shy now, considering how bold she was when they first met. Rit admits she was always secretly terrified he would reject her. Reassured by his smile, she leans in and kisses him on the lips, telling him she wants to be close to him. Miles away, the hero's group is struggling through a vast desert. Ares reveals that the ancient weapon they seek is hidden in some nearby ruins. As the group prepares for the journey, the assassin Tis is collecting water. At that moment, Ruti approaches to drink. Tisa asks the heroine if she ever sleeps, mentioning that she always sees her awake at night. However, Ruti explains that her hero's blessing erases the need for sleep and food and suppresses her emotions and physical sensations. As if at the perfect moment, a powerful sandstorm erupts in the desert, but Ruti remains unfazed, unaffected by the wind and sand. Back in Zultan, Red and Rit are back at work. Rit can't stop thinking about the new narcotics. He claims someone in town told him the powder makes users feel like a completely new person. Red listens calmly, but their conversation is interrupted when an injured man staggers into the pharmacy, pleading for help. While Red rushes to assist the injured man, Rit runs out to see what happened. She soon finds a member of the Thieves Guild high on powder attacking civilians in the street. The man, acting out of control, attacks Rit while several of her friends surround her, cutting off her escape. However, she easily fights them off. But before she can finish the fight, Albert appears and shoots all the attackers with his crossbow, eliminating most of them in seconds. Rit angrily asks why he killed them, but Albert simply mocks her, telling her to save those who are still breathing. Then he mocks her for not bringing her partner. Enraged by this sarcastic remark, Rit raises her weapons but then lowers them, explaining that it's a small ritual she performs to suppress the urge of her fighter's blessing. Later, Rit returns to the pharmacy and lies down near Red. She recounts the story of what happened earlier with the attackers, but Red continues to listen. When he asks her what she wants to do about it, Rit simply says she wants to continue enjoying his company. Just then, Tanta and Al pass by and invite Red to lunch. Al talks about his anxiety, feeling that his weapons master blessing is a curse. Red suggests it's because he hasn't yet chosen a weapon to master. Rit explains that without mastering a skill, his anxiety will likely never disappear, which disappoints the boy. After careful consideration, Al says he just wants to help his father with his freight transport job, so Red suggests he could master using something defensive to avoid problems in the future. The boys leave, and a woman named Ria from Albert's group visits the shop to apologize for her behavior. Rit is immediately hostile toward her, but Ria explains that Albert is taking on too many guild quests to make up for a summer of inactivity and is burning himself out. His champion blessing compels him to perform great feats, but since he never fully mastered his powers, he ended up trapped in Zultan, a place he secretly hates. Upon hearing this, Red assures him that Albert won't be leaving the group. In some distant bar, the wrestler Donan is drinking to forget his frustrations when a stranger approaches him, offering to help him find Gideon. Back in Zultan, a storm is brewing outside as Red prepares a warm drink of honey and milk, a sweet treat she used to make for her sister. When she mentions Ruti Rit, she wonders what the heroine is up to these days. This question triggers a memory from her childhood. A younger Red sees other children children clinging to their mothers during a thunderstorm. He immediately goes to see Ruti, pretending to be afraid of the thunder so he can hold her hand. Ruti tells him she loves him and he loves her back. When she asks if he will stay with her forever, Red explains that he must leave the village to become a knight so he can adventure with her. However, he promises to visit her on his days off, and Ruti asks him to bring her warm milk and honey from the battlefield. Unfortunately, the memory is shattered by a frantic knock at the door. Red opens it and finds Dr. Newman carrying an unconscious Al in his arms. As a storm rages outside, Al is rushed inside for medical treatment. The boy's wounds are severe, riddled with stone fragments, and Red wonders what happened to him. Just as they examine him, Al awakens in a panic as the three adults stare at him. The boy reveals that Ademi, the young fighter, went completely berserk and attacked him and his parents with an axe, causing widespread panic. They immediately rush to Al's house to find his parents unconscious, but thankfully, they are still alive. Red knows this is bad news because Ademi's father, Mullen, is the captain of the town guard, and this attack will plunge the entire town into chaos. Sure enough, Ademi disappears, and the townspeople are in a frenzy, demanding justice. The town guard, led by the attacker Mullen's own father, reacts with suspicious slowness. This resentment is ready to erupt in protests at any moment. Meanwhile, Al's parents become a symbol for the angry townspeople. With Al in the infirmary, he is left in the care of Red and Rit. During breakfast, the now temporarily parentless boy asks Rit to teach him how to use a sword. She agrees, and they begin training outdoors. The boy attacks but has no chance of touching her. Watching them train, Red praises Rit's teaching skills but humbly says it's Al's weapons master Blessing that's doing all the work. She worries she won't be a good teacher in the coming days, but Red gives her a pep talk, assuring her she'll do great. Finally, they both burst into laughter, and Rit affectionately takes Red's hand. However, their training session is interrupted when Now and Gons burst in. Panic. They tell them that the village guard just showed up at their house and took Tanta away while she was playing. Seeing this, Red and Rit go to the Adventurers Guild and ask Galantine for help. He agrees to set up a joint investigation mainly because it puts Rit in his debt. He gives them a letter to deliver to Captain Mullen, who apparently owes him a favor. They then arrive at the guard's headquarters where they are arrested. But when Red shows them the letter, they encounter Captain Mullen himself. Tanta is immediately reunited with his parents and nearly bursts into tears. Mullen claims he only wanted to question Tanta and had no idea his guards would tie him up. He quickly releases him and apologizes, but Red demands to know if he's hiding something. Mullen explains that the city is on the verge of rioting. People are so angry they're starting to believe Ademi didn't even attack Al's family and that it was some kind of conspiracy. Al insists he saw Ademi, but Mullen says the facts are confusing. Tanta even defends Ademi, saying the fighter apologized after their first fight and told her his dream was to join the city guard to protect people, not hurt them. Hearing this, Mullen asks to speak with Red and Rit alone and begs for their help. When Red asks if Ademi was using the new narcotic Mullen, he denies it, saying he taught his son to stay away from such things. However, Red points out the similarities between this attack and those caused by narcotic users. Mullen says there's no way to prove it since no one in Zultan has the evaluation skills. Later, while Al is alone in the pharmacy, an unknown man visits him. When Red returns, he finds the boy bewildered. He offers to train Al while Rit is away attending to Galantina's affairs. After they finish, Al asks Red why he's only a D-rank adventurer when he's so skilled. Red tells him that being good at something doesn't mean you have to have a high rank. As time passes, he's happy to see Al finally accept his blessing. The boy then confesses that the strange man gave him a new sword, telling him it came from someone connected to Big Hawk, the leader of the Thieves Guild. The man told him that with this sword he could become a champion like Rit. Red, remembering Theodora's advice, tells Al to talk to his new weapon and ask it if it wants to take down enemies or protect people. Meanwhile, Rit is chasing a suspected drug dealer. Just as she's about to capture him, the man spontaneously explodes. Before she can react, more enemies emerge from the shadows to ambush her. Suddenly, a hooded figure intervenes and saves her life. The man reveals himself as Danan, the fighter from the heroes group. He explains that he was looking for Gideon, but after seeing him with a girl, he decided to leave him alone. Danan then reveals a much bigger problem. The men who attacked her weren't just thugs, they were stalking demons. He offers to exchange information with her, and Rit accepts and goes home. Meanwhile, Danan watches her leave with a sinister look on his face. When Rit returns to the tent, she immediately seeks comfort from Red. While they talk, Red tells Rit about Al's new sword. Being an expert in magic, she immediately detects a locator spell on the sword. Someone not only gave a child a weapon, but also wants to track his every move. Overwhelmed by the day's events, Rit hugs Red, wondering how long her peaceful life will last. She moves closer to him seeking intimacy. The next day, Red hears protests outside and discovers that Big Hawk has been paying people to riot, a cunning maneuver to distract the municipal guard. Politics and chaos have infiltrated the scene. In the distance, the heroes group battles a massive enemy, a demon, in ancient ruins. Ruti orders Taisa to find the weapon while they deal with the monster, which she then easily defeats. She turns to Ares and tells him bluntly that while she used to provide cover for her brother, she won't do the same for him, as he should be able to protect himself. Ares silently recalls how much easier it was to cast spells with Gideon nearby, but pushes the thought away. Meanwhile, Tisa returns, having found her prize, the former demon lord's personal airship. Upon boarding, Tisa asks Ruti if there's anywhere she'd like to go. Ruti politely admits there's a special place, but says she must first fulfill her duty as a heroine. That night, Red and Rit finally christen their new double bed. Red lovingly invites his girlfriend in, and she slowly moves closer to him. But Rit gets nervous because there's a child sleeping in the next room, so the two decide to simply sleep in each other's arms. The next morning, Rit dons a hood and heads out to lure the enemies. Armed with Al's trap sword, which carries a locator spell, she successfully draws Big Hawk's men into a fight. As they charge at her, Rit battles them with a smile on her face. However, she notices something strange. They aren't just ordinary thugs, they're demons with axes. Meanwhile, the suspicious man who gave Al the sword reappears at the pharmacy. He kidnaps the young boy and takes him straight to Big Hawk, who plans to turn the child into a political puppet to control the discontented. Big Hawk introduces himself to Al, explaining how he gained his power by exterminating anyone who stood in his way. Now he wants even more power, so he created the narcotics that are flooding Zultan. This corrupt being reveals that the narcotics name is Devil's Blessing, a mixture made from the hearts of demons. Person's life, but with the Devil's Blessing, they can have a second chance. Big Hawk's master plan is to use Al to win over the angry mob and become the leader of the city. So to begin, he brings out Ademi, who admits to taking the powder to make herself stronger. Outside, a crowd is already rioting and ready for battle. Just as a senseless fight breaks out, Big Hawk drags Al to the front. Everyone is overjoyed to see the little boy safe, but Big Hawk ends up giving a long speech about the injustices they face. He mentions the attack on Al's family and says that Ademi hasn't been punished because his father is the captain of the guard. He pushes Ademi forward and urges Al to take revenge right then and there, telling him to be the spark that consumes old Zultan. However, the boy hesitates to attack his friend. Seeing this, Big Hawk tries to manipulate him, saying that while giving Ademi the narcotics, the boy tried to kill Al's parents of his own volition. He adds that since Ademi has two blessings, eliminating him will make Al incredibly powerful. Without hesitation, Al takes the sword, but instead of striking Ademi down, he cuts the ropes binding him, declaring that his weapon doesn't want him to commit a crime. Big Hawk is enraged by this, so he offers Ademi an axe, knowing that the Devil's Blessing will trigger an attack. But before Ademi can grab him, a hooded figure disarms him in an instant. The man reveals himself to be Red. He grabs both Al and Ademi and takes them to safety as the green demon screams in anger. He then gives Ademi medication to suppress the effects of the narcotics. Just then, an accomplice named Bowie finds them and takes the children as part of their safety plan. Now that the children are safe, Red confronts Big Hawk and his men. Albert, now working for the Goblin, charges at him in fury, but Red effortlessly deflects his attack, revealing that he has been hiding his true strength all along. Red asks Big Hawk what he really is, and the Goblin confesses that he is actually a demon named Belial, who possessed the real Big Hawk. Red simply scoffs, telling the demon that he'll have a hard time taking up residence in a town like Zultan. The demon agrees, which is why he recruited Albert, another frustrated outsider with darkness in his heart. Albert vents his frustration with Zultan's quiet life, saying he'd rather die than be a nobody. He admits to making a deal with a demon, but claims he isn't evil. Red points out that his actions have already harmed innocent people. Albert calls it a necessary sacrifice to achieve his goal, uniting Zultan, turning him into a military power, and joining the fight against the demon lord. He asks Red to join him, saying he has what it takes to be a hero. Just then, the town guard surrounds them. Red tells Albert that he's just a pharmacy owner and that arresting him is the guard's job. However, Albert refuses to be considered a criminal and asks Red for a heroic death, charging at him. With a smooth movement, Red dodges the blow and cleanly disarms him, telling him that he has the potential to be Zultan's savior but is paralyzed by his obsession with being a hero. Meanwhile, Big Hawk uses magic to make Al and Ademi levitate above the crowd. Al announces to everyone that he forgives Ademi and wants to be his friend again. Upon hearing this, the enraged crowd loses all desire to fight and returns home. Later that night, Red and Rit finally relax in their new, oversized bathtub. Rit asks why he didn't join Albert when he had the chance to return to the hero's cause. As they share an intimate moment, Red tells her that all he wants is to be with her. Elsewhere, a man called Big Hawk visits the real Big Hawk, but the Goblin recognizes him as the demon general Shisandan. Shisandan warns the other demon, Belial, about the dangers of selling the Devil's Blessing to humans. Belial claims he did it to ruin the demon lord's plans and then revokes his contract with Big Hawk. He teleports the demon to Albert's prison cell, where the two begin to fight. But within a couple of minutes, the demon forges a new contract with Albert and manages to escape the cell using dark magic. The next day, Al leaves for his first real adventure with his teachers. Red watches him go, wondering if he'll be safe. Back at the hero's camp, Ares is having a complete meltdown watching Ruti leave with TC on the airship. Theodora coldly tells him that the heroine can manage perfectly well without him. He then goes into Ruti's tent and discovers she's left her gear behind, a clear sign that she's leaving for good. Back in Zultan, the demon general Shisandan, still disguised as the helpful adventurer Big Hawk, informs Megria at the guild about the completion of his missions. His good deeds officially qualify him as a B-rank adventurer, and he continues pretending to help the city by investigating the Devil's Blessing case, playing the long game. Meanwhile, Ruti and Tisa head to Zultan. Ruti's objective is to find an alchemist to create more Devil's Blessing narcotics. It's revealed that she met with the fake Big Hawk, who gave her all the details. Without a second thought, she swallowed the powder, making even the demon paranoid. As a result, Ruti discovers that these narcotics are the only thing that can suppress her hero's blessing and allow her to feel normal human emotions. She tells Tisa that once they arrive, she must be treated like a commoner, a request that makes the assassin nervous. At the pharmacy, business is slow and Red is bored. He tries to create a new, successful product to attract customers during the cold weather. Rit mentions that people in his homeland use special hand warmers, which gives Red a brilliant idea. He sets to work developing his own version with a unique herbal formula. He hands out samples to everyone in town. He even sells the product to the doctor, and before he knows it, they're an instant hit. But in his haste, he forgot to keep one for himself. On his way back to the freezing store, he runs into Rit. She teases him about forgetting her hand warmer and shares it with him. As the snow begins to fall, the pair snuggle up on a nearby bench. She asks Red why he keeps staring at her instead of enjoying the snow. Like a true admirer, he tells her it's the first time he's seen her in the snow, and the two continue flirting before sharing a kiss. Elsewhere in the city, Ruti and Tis dress in ordinary clothes to blend in. They agree not to use their real names to avoid drawing attention. However, their brilliant plan immediately hits a snag at a bridge, where a rude gentleman named Otto blocks the way and demands a toll from everyone who wants to cross. Ruti, her emotions now running wild thanks to the powder she ingested, doesn't hesitate. She grabs the gentleman and throws him into the icy river. Tisa is horrified, worried that her impulsive behavior will blow her cover. A while later, Red crosses the same bridge and finds Otto naked, trying to beg for money to buy clothes. The man threatens to hit him, but Red indifferently throws Otto back into the river without saying a word. Ruti's chaotic visit to Zultan continues as she drags a slain monster to the city gate, announcing that it would have caused trouble later. Tise is very stressed about how Ruti's actions are making them stand out. Later, Red passes by a food stall where he happens to be standing next to Tisa. Red, ever the analyst, studies Tise's gestures. He notices her concealed weapons and professional posture and deduces that she must be a highly trained assassin. Tis, in turn, analyzes Red. She sees the scars on his hands and realizes that he is a seasoned warrior who has survived countless battles. The two professionals exchange suspicious glances but say nothing. Back at their inn, Tisa warns Ruti about the man she encountered, telling her he's dangerous and could cause them trouble. She explains that he noticed her concealed equipment, which means he must be one of Zultan's top adventurers. Ruti assumes she's talking about Big Hawk, the new B-rank hero, but Tisa says appearances can be deceiving. She insists the man had the presence of a truly trained knight. He asks Ruti if they should work with him or against him. Ruti replies that they can't work with him because the alchemist she's looking for is currently imprisoned in Zultan. Ruti, trying to plan an escape, tries to think like her brother Gideon, wishing he were there to help her. At the same time, a fairy bursts into the pharmacy and urgently leads Red and Rit to a sick patient, a powerful water elemental. Red examines her and determines she's under a powerful curse that's draining her spiritual energy. He gives her medicine to help her, and Rit theorizes that the recent cold snap in the city is likely related to the same curse. Later, Ruti tracks down the alchemist Godwin in his cell and demands he make more Devil's Blessing for her. The alchemist is terrified by her emotionless stare and agrees to do whatever she wants. After freeing him, Ruti notices he has some injuries and asks Tisa to recommend a good pharmacy. Tise, remembering the food stand, tells her about the new and popular store that sells those amazing hand warmers. Now, Ruti and Tisa go to the pharmacy. When Ruti walks through the door, she and Red stare at each other. For a moment, they are both in shock, but Ruti's surprise quickly turns into overwhelming happiness. She runs forward and hugs her long-lost brother. Everyone in the room is completely shocked to learn that the local pharmacy owner and the heroin dealer are siblings. The ever-professional Tisa asks Red if it's okay to let Godwin go after witnessing their reunion. When Red assures her that the guy is trustworthy, Tisa finally introduces herself. Red quickly realizes she's the girl who replaced him in the group. When she asks if he lives with anyone, he points to Rit. Red then turns to his sister Ruti and finally tells her the real reason he left, apologizing for disappearing without a word. She says she understands and immediately offers to take care of Ares so he can rejoin the group, saying it's incomplete without him. However, Red politely declines. He tells his sister that he's found a new life with a wonderful girl and a reason to stay in Zultan. Surprisingly, Ruti accepts his decision and then declares that she'll move to Zultan to be with him. Just in time, Rit returns with supplies and is completely surprised to find the heroine standing in her living room. Red explains everything to his partner, and Ruti tells them that she was looking for him because they can't defeat the Demon Lord without his help. Rit, now feeling uncertain, asks Red what he's going to do. However, he reassures her, saying that he'll stay and run the shop with her. With that, Ruti gets up to return to the inn for the night. Being the loving brother he is, Red also gets up and promises he'll always be there for her. Back at the pharmacy, Ruti feels a sharp pain upon receiving his blessing. She realizes she forgot to suppress her emotions while she was around Red, and the sudden surge of happiness is causing a a backlash. She quickly takes another dose of the powder to weaken herself. Back at the pharmacy, Rit questions Red's decision, insisting that his sister clearly needs him. However, he tells his girl he'll think about it. Meanwhile, at the inn, Godwin is panicking and tells Tisa they must leave town immediately before he's caught and executed. Tisa relays the message to Ruti, who says she'll stay another week to search for some elven ruins before leaving. As Ruti walks toward her, Tisa suddenly feels a wave of pure intimidation upon her. A glimpse of the heroine's truly terrifying power makes her instinctively draw her weapon in self-defense. However, Ruti immediately apologizes, saying she meant no harm, and Tisa realizes she overreacted. She begins to see Ruti in a new light, a girl crushed by the immense responsibility of being the heroine, isolated by her own power and poor communication skills. To break the ice, Tisa brings out her pet spider for Ruti to touch, and the two girls finally begin to become friends. Elsewhere in the city, Zultan is studying a map of the elven ruins and examines a magic crystal, annoyed to discover that the curse she placed on the water elemental has been lifted. The next day, Ruti tries to help out at the pharmacy, but her staring stares scare the customers. Red gently suggests she try smiling more and offers to show her around town. Tisa offers to stay and look after the shop with Rit. Eventually, the two girls head to the sauna, where Ruti's eccentric behavior quickly makes her a local celebrity. Later, she apologizes to Red for attracting so much attention, but he tells her he's proud to introduce her to people. He even affectionately rubs her head, which makes the girl genuinely happy. In the distance, the rest of the heroes group is also heading towards Zultan, guided by the cunning Albert. As a gesture of support, Theodora has offered to buy him a prosthetic hand. Albert tells her about the man who cut off his hand, confused as to why someone so powerful would refuse to be a champion. This makes Theodora wonder if people really need to follow the path their loved ones choose for them. Meanwhile, Red prepares honey and milk and serves it to the girls in her house. For a while, this seems like a happy family. At that moment, the girls decide to go to the sauna to further strengthen their bond. In the sauna, Ruti asks to bathe with Rit, and Tisa decides to join them, claiming that she likes to keep track of all the places she has bathed. In the water, Ruti opens up to Rit. She recounts a childhood memory of trying to protect another child from an owlbear. Even as a child, her blessing compelled her to risk her life for others. In that moment of terror, she could only think of her brother. She screamed his name, and Red appeared instantly, vanquishing the beast. Ruti tells Rit how her brother was always there for her and how his presence was the only thing that brought her happiness. She admits that because of her blessing, she no longer enjoys things like baths or food, but she still remembers how they felt. Then she looks at Rit enviously, saying she wishes she could cry and laugh freely. Finally, the dam breaks, and Ruti begins to cry like a normal girl. She confesses that she never wanted to be a hero. All she ever wanted was a normal life like Rit. Seeing this, Tisa realizes that Ruti has been clinging to the past because her blessing has stolen her present, and she finds a new resolve to help her. The next day, Red thanks Tisa for being a good friend to Ruti, admitting that she is aware of the dangerous changes her sister is going through. When Tice explains how a demonic contract is behind her sister, everyone panics. Red realizes he needs to speak with the alchemist Godwin to learn more about the Devil's Blessing's side effects. When Godwin asks Red if he's angry with Ruti for breaking him out of prison, he tells him to keep quiet or there will be consequences. Hearing this, Tisa says she'll go to the port to buy the equipment Godwin needs to make more powder, and the group prepares to hire some dragons for their journey to the mountains. At the port, Red encounters the real Danon, and the two old friends catch up. Meanwhile, Theodora and Albert's group is also snooping around the port, trying to gather information. As Ares wanders off to do his own thing, they spot Red and Danon together and decide to follow them, hiding in the shadows. Danon tells Red that the group has been a complete mess without him, which is why he came looking for him. Red, however, reaffirms his decision to stay in Zultan. Danon says he'll stay a while longer to see Red's new light. Red then tells him that Ruti is also in town and explains her whole situation with the powder, which surprises Danon. He immediately decides to work with Red to save her. As they leave to discuss their plans, another Danon, an imposter, meets Ares at an inn. This fake Danon tells Ares everything he knows about Gideon's whereabouts. Ares is furious to learn that Gideon is living a quiet life and demands to know where his pharmacy is. He storms into Red's shop and begins destroying everything in his path. Meanwhile, the real Danon tells Red the horrifying truth. Zultan is still alive. The demon attacked him, and during the fight, his arm was torn off. As they talk, they see a dragon in the sky carrying Ares and the fake Danon toward the mountains where Ruti went exploring, and they immediately decide to follow them. Red meets with Rit first and tells her what Danon said. She apologizes for not telling him she had met Danon before, but Red quickly realizes that the man she met was actually the demon in disguise. They both agree this charade has gone on for too long. They decide to fight and end it once and for all. Red races toward the elven ruins, navigating the ancient labyrinth with ease. He finds the room where Godwin is hiding and tells him to summon Ruti. The alchemist initially refuses, terrified by her powers, but Red intimidates him until he relents. As expected, Ruti immediately bursts into the room. Red says she's been working on a special mixture to help suppress her blessing. She doesn't understand, saying she always thought her dream was to be a knight and save the world. However, Red corrects her, explaining that his only real goal has always been to protect protect her because she's the most precious thing in his life. He tells her he doesn't care if she stops being the heroine. Hearing this, Ruti wonders if it's really okay for her to do whatever she wants. Red assures her that her life is hers to live. Upon hearing this, the girl hugs him tightly, telling him he's the best big brother. Elsewhere on Mount Shisandan, Ares searches for Ruti to capture her. The demon tells Ares about the ancient elven ruins hidden there. The real Donan finally reunites with Theodora and leaps onto his dragon to catch up with the others. Back at the ruins, Red's group meets up with Tisa. Red suggests speaking with Godwin about the narcotics. Ruti explains that while she didn't grant her a new blessing, she awakened some nameless power within her. Godwin is puzzled, but thinks it's probably not dangerous since it doesn't give her violent impulses. Suddenly, Tisa senses something approaching. Red recognizes them as fly eyes, which are magical surveillance drones. Ruti exterminates them all with a single spell and runs in the direction they came from. Without hesitation, Red follows her, and they find a completely unhinged Ares waiting for them. Ares fanatically demands that Ruti come with him to fight the Demon Lord. She flatly refuses and explains her decision to stay with Red. Enraged, Ares attacks Red, but Ruti immediately wounds him. She then firmly states her decision to give up being the heroine. At that moment, Shisandan arrives and offers to help the wounded sage. Ares, finally understanding, realizes that the man has no blessing, meaning he must be a demon. Shisandan suggests they team up, tempting Ares by telling him that a powerful relic of the first hero is hidden there. Ares, now completely delusional, is determined to find the relic to force Ruti to return. He believes his entire life's purpose is to fight alongside his heroine and will do anything to make that a reality. Back with the group, Rit tells everyone about her encounter with the deranged sage. Meanwhile, Tis detects Ares' movements nearby, confirming that he is heading to the lower levels of the ruins with Shisandan. The group decides to pursue him, and Godwin has no choice but to accompany them. Meanwhile, Theodora leads Danon to the ruins. She tells him she brought him there because she wants him to be with her no matter what. Danon, who has no time for her nonsense, simply tells her to do as she pleases. He then fights his way through the ruins and finds Ares and Shisandan. The demon immediately attacks him, but Danan, empowered by his new prosthetic arm, easily overpowers him. Shisandan desperately calls out to Ares for help. After a moment of hesitation, Ares casts a spell to distract Danon, allowing Shisandan to stab him. Despite the fatal blow, Danon manages to continue fighting the demon, who has now revealed his true form, until he finally collapses. As Danon falls, Ares observes how calm he feels after betraying an ally. He realizes it's the same feeling he had when he manipulated Gideon into leaving the group. He follows Shisandan deeper into the ruins, and they reach a room containing the true sacred swords. Shisandan explains that the sword Ruti uses is only a copy. Then he tells Ares his plan. They must give Ruti the royal sword and take away the one thing that fuels her desire to be a normal person. As soon as Ares hears this, he knows exactly what that thing is: his brother Gideon. Meanwhile, Red's group navigates through the ruins, with Ruti giving Red his old favorite sword. They soon enter a chamber where they find Shisandan disguised as Rit's former master. Without hesitation, they attack the being, but struggle to get close to him as Ares uses fire magic to keep them at bay. Ruti protects them from the flames and tells Ares she will forgive him if he surrenders now, but Ares is already too far away. The two siblings unleash powerful attacks, each trying to overpower the other. Elsewhere, Albert and Theodora find Danon mortally wounded and give him medicine, saving his life. Meanwhile, the fight between Ruti and Ares continues. Ares tries to force Ruti to touch the sacred sword, but she creates a massive whirlwind. Suddenly, Theodora intervenes. She chains Rit near a monster and begins fighting Ruti, declaring that the heroine must be sacrificed for the good of the world. Ruti insists she no longer wants to be the heroine, but Theodora argues that countless lives will be lost if she doesn't fulfill her duty. She states that even though Gideon is strong, he cannot defeat the Demon Lord without her help. Moments later, Rit breaks free from her chains and confronts Theodora, asking why she thinks it's okay to leave the fate of the world in the hands of a single person. Theodora reminds her that the group of heroes saved their village, but Rit corrects her, saying it was her small group of individuals with their own beliefs who saved their homeland, not divine will. She argues that people are more than their blessings. Theodora quickly dismisses her, saying she shouldn't question the divine plan, but Rit tells her she's wrong to place such a heavy burden on someone who is already suffering. Meanwhile, Ruti sees the monster regain consciousness and eliminates it to protect Rit, but Ares casts another spell, creating an iron wall that separates them from the others. Ruti tries to jump over, hoping to save them, but fails, and Shisandan uses the opening to break her sword. Ares celebrates his victory over Red and goes to fight Tisi, who tells him his opinions are wrong and that she is determined to let Ruti live a normal life. Just as the iron wall is about to crush Red and Rit, the now recovered Danon uses his immense strength to save them. Freed, Red immediately charges at Ares. With Rit's help, she dodges his spells and cuts off both of his hands, leaving him on the ground. Ruti continues her fight with Shisandan, who tells her she doesn't deserve a quiet life because she's the heroine. Hearing this triggers a deep rage within her. She attacks him relentlessly, and in her fury, she grabs one of the sacred swords and kills him. She rejoins the others, but this time something is wrong. Instead of helping them, she turns around and attacks Red, who is tending to Theodora's wounds. Immediately, Tisa jumps in front of Red to protect him and tries to reach Ruti, who now has a completely blank expression. Red gently places the injured Tisa on the ground to face his sister, who is now in full hero mode. With a poker face, she attacks him without hesitation. Red expertly dodges and cleanly disarms her with his bronze sword. The shock of the maneuver finally brings the girl back to her senses. Ruti immediately rushes to Tisi's side, trying to heal her wounds, but her powers fail her, leaving her feeling completely helpless for the first time in her life. Meanwhile, Theodora, her conscience suddenly clear, intervenes and heals Tisa's injuries. She says she won't apologize, claiming she truly believed betraying Ruti was the only option. Theodora admits she never understood why Ruti didn't look for Gideon, but eventually realizes that being a hero is a cruel fate. As Theodora prepares to accept her punishment, Albert interrupts, arguing that she fought for what she believed was right. At that moment, Tisa regains consciousness and apologizes to Ruti for worrying her, but Ruti is relieved to see her alive. Finally, Ruti tells Theodora that she never wanted to be the heroine and just wants to live her life as a normal girl. He says that Theodora has a determination that makes her an even greater hero. Upon hearing this, Red adds that a true hero is someone who saves the world of their own free will, not because a blessing compels them. Inspired, Theodora asks if she can become a guide like him. Red tells her it's possible, and she realizes it's a much better life. Moments later, Red returns to his tent to find it completely wrecked, courtesy of Ares. But when it starts snowing outside, he forgets about the damage. Ruti and Tisa join him, and Ruti is thrilled to feel the cold for the first time in years. Seeing them finally united, Red invites them to breakfast. It's revealed that Ruti's new, nameless blessing is powerful enough to control other blessings, but she mostly just uses it to deactivate her hero mode. She tells them that her new dream is to buy a farm and grow medicinal herbs. Later, everyone attends Ares' funeral, praying for his soul. Afterward, the group discusses their future plans. Donan says he'll be leaving in a few days, but raises concerns about how Shisendan was able to wield holy swords. Red suggests there might be another lost sword out there. Back at the shop, which has now been fully restored by Gons, Rit admits to Red that he has an irrational fear of waking up one day to find him gone. She says that since everyone seems to need his guidance, she worries he might leave. Rit even feared he wouldn't want to return after the shop was destroyed. However, Red tells her that she's the only reason he comes back every day. He confesses that the first time they met again in Zultan, her words made him happy because she saw him for who he truly was, yet she still chose to stay with him. With that, the two share an intimate moment, talking about their future. Red tells her he wants to spend the rest of his days with her and hopes to have a family someday. The next morning, Red and Rit go out to explore the town. He introduces his partner to all the local shopkeepers and buys her a gift. As they walk, she tells him how happy she is to finally be spending time with him and making new friends. She asks Red to stay with her forever, and he promises to be with her for as long as she wants. Then they lie down on the grass, and Rit finally falls peacefully asleep. Back at the guild's pharmacy, Megria rushes in and urgently asks Rit for help. A band of ogres has taken over a nearby village and captured several adventurers. Without hesitation, Ruti agrees to help. Tisa smiles, pointing out that Ruti is still a heroine, but now she's fighting of her own free will. As she leaves, Red tells her he'll prepare whatever she wants when she returns. As expected, she asks for warm milk and honey. In the final scene, the alchemist Godwin is talking to the elf. Yarandrala speaks about Zultan. She says that although it's a boring town, she believes it's the perfect place to lead a quiet life. Upon hearing this, Yarandrala stands up with a determined look, making it clear that she wants to see Gideon and Rit again.